Good morning, YouTube. I am Bearded Ink, and today we're going to talk about the newest update to OBS Studio, version 30.2.0, the latest major version update that just came out on July 12th. There's been some issues and there's been some questions, so I wanted to make this quick tutorial to kind of cover everything and to figure out if you need to update, and if you already have and it's just not working, how you can downgrade. So let's just get going, shall we? Okay, so first thing we need to cover is what is in this update. So here I have a new version. This is 30.2. And when you first open it, it's going to come up with the what's new. If you've already closed this and you forgot what it is and you want to see it again, you can click on close. All you have to do is come to the help file and click on what's new. Let me zoom in and show you what I'm talking about here. Right here. On the help file, what's new, you click on that, and then you're going to get the what's new version release update again. Now, this is not a complete list of everything that they have changed, all the bug fixes, all of the little releases or whatever. There is a link right here you can click to go to the changelog, and we're going to check that out right here. So this is everything here under the new features that they've added. Here are the changes that were made. As you can see, it's quite a long list. And then here are some of the bug fixes that we have. And then, of course, checksums if you want to check and make sure that your version is actually legit. But if you downloaded it from the OBS Studio website, then you are fine. But let's go back to OBS. So we're going to just cover basically the big stuff that everybody is kind of up in arms about or confused about. And the first one is the hybrid MP4. This is a new video container. And for those of you that don't know, MP4, all of your codecs, OGG, all of these are basically wrappers, and they wrap around your files and display them or play them a certain way. And the hybrid MP4 is just a new wrapper. It's a new wrapper for your video and audio coming out of OBS. And it was developed by a guy named Rodney. It combines the resiliency of the FFmpeg, or the fragmented MP4, and the compatibility of the traditional MP4. It's really technical, but basically it's supposed to make everything run a little bit smoother using old and new technology combined to make a better new technology, I guess. And that's, you know, basically what that is. So it's really good. If you can use it, you can. I suggest that you do. Otherwise, you know, staying with your ACC encoders and stuff like that for your audio and video is going to be perfectly fine if you don't. Okay. Next, they have an appearance update. So they have their theming system. They've made some changes to that, and I'm going to show you what those are. But one of the biggest things they've done is how you select your theme that you use, as well as the audio mixer has an overhaul and a new look as well, and we're going to show you that too. And then finally, the multi-track video. This is the big thing. This is the enhanced encoding that is specific to Twitch. The multi-track video also will now be out, now that it's out of beta. It's designed for Twitch, and this is by far one of the biggest issues and most confusing points of the part. So most of this video is going to be talking about that. So we're going to cover some of the smaller things first, and then we'll get to the multi-track video stuff. So let's go ahead and close this here. And let's talk about the themes first. So the first thing you can notice, if I go to my audio mixer, you will see that it has a new layout, a new kind of revamped look, if you will. Everything's a little bigger. The colors are a little bit brighter. Things are easier to see. Of course, I always go into vertical layout. So if you, let me show you how to do that in case you don't know. You can go to Audio Mixer anywhere in a blank space, right click on there, and you can choose vertical layout. And when you do that, it'll put everything vertical. For me, it's a much cleaner look, and it can fit obviously more things in there without having to scroll and find them all. And then, of course, now the audio slider to adjust the volume is on the left instead of the right. It used to be on the right with the numbers there intertwined. So they've kind of separated those a little bit to make it a little bit easier to see. but all your controls are still there. You can mute, you can unmute, you have your properties and filters and everything still in the little 3-dot hamburger menu. But it's just kind of a quick little update to the visuals of the old style. And this is one of the things that will not change with the theme selection that we're going to go look at next. These you can change the colors, of course, and still in your accessibility options in the menu. But the actual look and layout cannot be reverted, regardless of if you choose one of the older themes like I have. But let's go look at the themes now. So if you go to File and Settings, we're going to come up and get our settings menu here. And we're going to go to Appearance now. So we're going to go to the Appearance tab, and I will zoom in for you here. What we have now is your theme, and Yami is the only theme available. Yami, Yami, Yummy, however you say it. I say Yami because it looks like a yam, right? All right. But now we have a style. So you've got your theme, and of course the default, there's only the one. But then you have the, 6 different styles. So classic is kind of like the older 28, 29 version style. That's what I use. That's what you see now. The default, and what you'll see when you first load up, is kind of this blue color. And if you've updated to version 30 from 29, this is also the default look for it. So you can see, let me zoom out here real quick so you can see how everything kind of turns blue. The tab colors are a little bit blue and things like that. But this is what it's going to change. Gray just changes the color back to that default gray, but it leaves the buttons the blue color. Light, we don't like it blinding. Ugh, get it off. If you use the light theme, how do you enjoy hell? How is that? Is it good for you? Arachne, as you can see, changes the button colors as well. And then you have some like this red, the text and stuff like that are all different colors. Or the focus tabs are a darker kind of muted blue purpley color. And then of course there's Acri at the very top, which is like your dark mode of the default. For me, I like the, sorry, not the default. I like the classic. This is a little bit smaller, makes everything more crunchy. The text is a little bit smaller and scrunched together is, I guess, what I meant when I said crunchy. I don't know why I said crunchy, but there we go. But of course, go with what you like, go with what you feel, and then you click apply down at the bottom to lock it in, and there you go. All right, so you have that. Now, one of the biggest things I need to note, and this is for anybody that uses OBS to stream, especially to like Twitch, YouTube, and if you have external connections. So if you're using StreamerBot, for example, which all of you should be, and check out my StreamerBot tutorials to get started on that if you don't use StreamerBot already. But you'll know that WebSockets is a big thing. That's how things connect to your OBS and talk to and get all the information and stuff to help you control everything. With this update, your WebSockets has been disabled. So it is no longer enabled. And when you enable it, everything will change, including the password. So what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to follow my mouse here. So we're going to go up to the tools bar here, and we're going to come to WebSocket server settings. Okay. And as you can see, it is not enabled by default. Okay. So what we want to do, first thing we want to do is check that it is now enabled. So this will allow everything to connect to it. However, your password has also changed. Okay. So if you have previously connected it to like StreamerBot, for example, you will need to put in the new password. And this will go for any of your WebSocket connections that you have that may need to use the authentication. So all you can do this, you can use to show connect info. And don't worry about me showing you this stuff because I'm going to change it all anyway. And plus this isn't my go live version. But here is the new password. Okay. And then your server port and your server IP. This is a best guess on your IP. This is not my IP because I run through several different programs to change all of that on the outward facing stuff. That's why it's just doing its best. Right. So you actually have to put in your IP. And if you've changed the port previously, like we talked about in one of my setup videos. You can change it here. And then your password, of course, so you can copy all of that. So once you're done with that information, you just close this window and you're good to go. Now, if you need to change any of that information, such as your server port or your password, you can do so here, and you can just click on generate password and click apply. I can type in a new password. So if I just do this new password and I click apply, yes, and then I show my connect info, there it is, new password, right? So you can make it whatever you want. But when you generate a new password, so if I generate new password, you click on this, you click apply, and then we're going to come up here and show info, and then there is the new one. So make sure that you click apply before you put that password in any of your stuff, right? So if I go ahead and generate a new password now and click apply, now you don't know what my password is, so you can't connect to my shit. All right. But that's real big. So especially those of you that are using like StreamerBot, MixItUpBot, FireBot, any of those external services that connect to your WebSocket server. And if you've set any of those up, you know that you've had to set that up. You know where to go. I'm not going to cover all the different options in this video. But if you have a concern, or you can't find something, especially in anything that I've covered in a previous tutorial, such as any of those bots I just mentioned, just leave a comment down below and I will help get you sorted out with where to put that information. Let's talk about what the new version does where it comes to streaming, because that's the big thing, right? So we're going to go back into settings. I'm just going to use the button down here on the control panel. We're going to go back into settings, and one of the big things is your output. Now, if you followed my previous setup tutorials and you've done the advanced stuff and you've set all of this stuff up, like I taught you in those versions with your video encoders and all of that, you're still good to go. Okay. And you can click go live and you shouldn't have any issues. However, it is very important to note that because of the 30.2 update, they now require that you have a updated driver, especially for the NVIDIA cards. And if we go back to the website, let me show you this. It'll tell you right up here. NVIDIA users will need to update their GPU drivers to 53.1.61 for the Windows and 5030.41.3 if you're running Linux. Okay, so any of these drivers or newer, and these drivers I can verify the 5031.61 was from a couple of months ago. So there is a new update for sure on those. But this version will not work with older GPUs. So if your GPU cannot update to a compatible version, you will not be able to stream with 30.2. And that's very important. Well, how do I find out? Well, I'm glad you asked. There is a NVIDIA encode and decode GPU matrix, which is here. I will put this link in the description below. And all you have to do is come in and make sure that your graphics card has yes under the H264 or the 265 or both. So if, for example, if we look up, say the 3080, you can see that the laptop versions are here, the RTX 3080 and 3080 Ti. And then if we go look at the encoders here, 264, 265s, and the HVEC 10-bit and B-frame, they are all supported. This video card will run on 30.2, okay? If we look, though, however, at like, say, a 1060, the 1060 will also run correctly, and you will have the encoder, so you can use that. But if you have like I think it's a 1030, right? The GT 1030, you'll notice it does not have the encoder. So this is the one you would be running on the default. And if I go back to the OBS, I'll show you what I mean by the default. The X264, let me zoom in so you can see me here. So the X264, this is going to be for your older graphics cards or your embedded graphics cards, right? So if you don't have an external or a PCI graphics card, you're running currently on 264 version 30.2 will not let you go live. You will get an error. It will, even if you say, it'll tell you on the error, hey, you don't have an NVENC encoder, enabled. We couldn't find one. Do you still wish to continue? If you say yes, OBS will attempt, it will fail, and it will crash. So for those of you that have an older graphics card, skip this update. Stay on the older version and do not update, okay? But for the rest of you, select your correct video encoder and you won't have any problems there at all. This brings us to the big part of the tutorial here and the enhanced streaming encoder. So if we go to our stream tab, oops, let me zoom out again. So if we go to our stream tab, you'll see here now under the multi-track video, right? So we've connected to Twitch, we've got our server on auto, whatever, we've got our add-ons, but this part is new. And remember here, this is where you used to have the little checkbox that would say, do you wish to ignore the streaming guidelines, where on Twitch it's like 6,000 kilobytes or whatever, and you say yes, because we set up our own stuff on the output tab, right? We've set our own bit rate and all of that. If you check this box and you click apply, you're going to see that your output to Twitch is like 11,000 kilobytes. It's like 10,000 to 11,000 kilobytes. And it'll go, and you're thinking, oh my God, did I make partner? Do I now get to stream at 10,000 kilobytes and have an amazing looking, stream when I'm live? And the answer is a resounding no. Okay, that's not what's going on. And that's one of the big things, big confusion points, and I need to address this. So pay attention if you are one of those that thought you were streaming at 10,000 kilobytes. You are outputting from OBS 10 to 11,000 kilobytes. Okay, but what enhanced broadcasting is a Twitch side encoding feature. Now, I'm going to keep this simple. So for those of you that are super technically inclined and like the language that I'm about to use, don't come at me, bro, because I'm going to keep it simple. Okay, basically your GPU has the power to stream at whatever setting you have it set to, right? But there's an overhead that you can also engage in. Think of it like overclocking, to keep it very simple, where you can actually use resources in your GPU that aren't normally used. So if I'm streaming, say at 7,000 kilobytes, my GPU actually has like an output of like 14,000. So I can actually double my streaming output, right? But that doesn't mean that's what's going to appear on Twitch's side when I'm live. Okay, but what this enhanced broadcasting does is basically it uses that reserve space, and it does so in 3 areas. So first off, what's going to happen is you don't get to set any of your stuff. So this output tab, you can see how now it's all grayed out. I can't make any changes to anything. Okay, that's because we have this enabled. And what this means now is that Twitch is going, or OBS is going to send to Twitch 10,000, 11,000 kilobytes of data in 3 different streams, in 3 different resolutions, and 3 different kilobyte bit rates. So the first one is it's going to send out a 1080p resolution stream at 60 frames a second at 6,000 kilobytes. Okay. The second one is going to be a 720p at 30 frames per second at about 2,000 to 3,000 kilobytes. And then the final one is going to be a 480p resolution at 30 frames per second at about 1,000 kilobytes. So why is it doing this? Basically, OBS is encoding 3 different versions of whatever it is that you're, streaming, your game and you're just chatting and your webcam and your audios and all of that. It's making 3 versions at 3 different resolutions and 3 different bit rates and sending them all out at the same time, which is why when you look down on your stats at the bottom down there, it'll say your output is, 11,000 something kilobytes. But on Twitch's side, for your viewers, all this does is it enables them to select the output that looks the best on their device. So if somebody's watching you on their phone on the new updated crap Twitch mobile app, and Twitch, if you're listening, your mobile app sucks, revamp it from the ground up, burn it with fire, and start over. Okay. Rant aside, so if they're watching on their phone may not be capable of outputting 1080p, right? So they may automatically select the 720p version of your stream, or they may automatically select the 480p version of their stream. Likewise, for those on a laptop or a desktop watching on the browser, they may have like a lower resolution or a smaller monitor that might not be 1080p yet, things like that. So Twitch will automatically default them to the correct version that is the highest quality out of those three that they can view. Now, if you've ever been to Twitch and you look and you're like, why does this stream look so shit? Right? And you click that little cogwheel on the video panel and you see that you're viewing it in 360p resolution, and you have to go in and click it and change it to 1080 to get the crystal clear picture. Okay. This is designed to avoid you having to do that. So with this enabled, most of those options will go away, especially if you're on the mobile app. You won't be able to select the resolution anymore. You might have noticed the big downfall here is the maximum output that you as a streamer are getting is 1080p at 6,000 kilobytes, which, as we know, is the Twitch limit, but it's not, right? Especially if you're an affiliate. If we talked about in the last video, if you're an affiliate, you get up to 8,000 kilobytes. Partners get up to 10,000 on one stream, not the three that are being sent out. That's just a single stream. So I don't want this. And most of you probably won't want this either, especially if you were thinking, I stream in 4K, right? You need the AV1 encoder to stream in 4K from OBS. And that's not available on the enhanced broadcasting. So even if you want to use your AV1 and stream in 4K, if you tick this box, you're not going to be able to. The AV1 encoders are not built into this feature yet. They do plan to in the future. You're just going to have to wait a little bit longer for you 4K people. Okay. It's not there yet. So don't do this, because it's only going to pick the best encoder for what it can do. So it will never select your AV1, and you're going to be asked out. You're not going to be streaming in 4K. Why would you want to use this? I've been spending the last couple of days for this section of the tutorial specifically to find a reason why I would want to, and I can't come up with one. I think this is actually a shit integration. It was done by Twitch, who has partnered with OBS, and they give them a lot of fucking money. And I hate it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, please do. For those of you that may find a reason that you need to use the enhanced broadcasting, leave it in the comments below, because I'm trying to find a pro here. I don't like bashing anybody undeservedly. I just cannot find a reason to use this. It's absolute dog shit. If I uncheck this box, and all I did was uncheck a box, I can now go to my output in my advanced, like we did in my OBS setup, and I can select what I want to send out. And the old style, the current style before this update, where people could select 1080p, 720p, 960, my actual source output from their video player on their own, works just fine. I have never had anybody come into my stream and be like, oh, your stream looks like shit today. What's going on? And I constantly get to stream at 73 to 7,500 kilobytes, almost 8,000 kilobytes. Even though I'm set at 6,800, I still get that bonus buffer, and I stream at 73 to 7,500 kilobytes near constantly with no issues, right? Because I've been a long-term affiliate. If I were to ever make partner, that would bump up to 10K, and I could move this to like 8,800 kilobytes and enjoy that extra buffer and have an even higher quality stream. But until then, I'm happy with 7,500. But if I come and I check this box, I'm limited to 6,000. Like literally, you do this and then you go check your video stats when you're live and you will never see it go above like 6,200 ever. And it will only be there for a couple of seconds. Most of the time, you're going to live at 5,850 to 6,000, 6,100. And you're going to fluctuate between those two, because there's going to be that fluctuation, right? But it is very limited and you're going to be capped at that 6,000. So again, if you have a reason why I can use this, why I should use this, leave it in the comments below. But I don't want to hear older services, older computers need this, because this version of OBS doesn't work with those graphics cards. So that's out the window. So come up with a pro for using the enhanced broadcasting and let me know in the comments, please. I beg you. This is serious. I cannot find a pro to the multi-track video. I just can't. I'm sure there is one. Somebody much smarter than me maybe has figured out why, and I would like to know so I can, maybe we'll make a tutorial on it and do cover the pros and stuff like that. But until then, if you do update to 30.2, I wouldn't check the box. It's only going to make your shit worse. I mean, it really is. There is no benefit. Now you'll see right here, and let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Selecting this option will send Twitch information about your computer and software setup. This is true. It's nothing to worry about. I don't want people freaking out like they did with the once human terms of service and stuff. But what's being sent out is now gathered automatically, so you don't have as much control over it as you do before. So Twitch is going to get your operating system, the operating system version number, your GPU type, the amount of RAM is in your computer, the CPU speed. They're also going to get the browsers that you use. They're not going to get the content of your browsers, just that, oh, you're using Chrome, you're using Brave. They're going to get your IP address, which they're going to have anyway, right? So it's nothing that they don't already have from connecting to the Twitch service, but now they're getting it sent along with your broadcast instead of just having it from your login. So that could be seen as a con, but I don't want anybody to freak out about that, especially when you go to the changelog and you see the actual what they're getting. Twitch already has all this information from you. Okay, it's just part of every website you go to has this information about you. Don't worry about it. It's not anything malicious, and they can't do anything with that information. But it's for their records and for their knowing what to drop. So for example, with the 1060 version graphics cards, if they notice that only 1% of their users are running a 1060, they may start dropping support for those older graphics cards and things like that. That's what that information is used for. Okay. And again, they already have it, so don't freak out. All right. But yeah, so don't use the enabled enhance in broadcasting until we find some pros for it. And again, you 4K guys, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to wait a little bit longer until the AV1 is added to this system. All right. So let's talk about how to upgrade. If you want to move to version 30.2 and be on the latest and greatest, cool. No problem. When you open your version of OBS, you're going to be met with a pop-up that says, hey, there's a new version, 30.2. Would you like to, update? Just say yes. It'll do it automatically. It'll download, it'll install, and the next time you open OBS, it'll be on 30.2, and you're good to go. If you've missed it, let's zoom in again, and we're going to go ahead and follow mouse. We're going to follow mouse. There we go. We're going to click on help. And you're going to come down here and you're going to click on check for updates. And when you click on that, now obviously I'm on 30.2, which is the latest update. It just came out. So there are no current available updates. So I'm going to click OK. But if you happen to be on 30.1 or 30.0 or 29.1.3, whatever it is version you're on, you will have an option to upgrade to the latest there. Now, if you want to do it manually, we can do that. Let's figure out how to do this manually. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right here. We're going to go to obsproject.com. You're going to come here. We're going to click on download, and then you're going to get the installer. You can click on Windows, Apple, or Linux to get your version. And then you're going to download the installer and then run the installer. It's a little exe file, and then it'll automatically update for you. Okay. And so that's all you have to do. If you want to download it through the zip file, you can do that as well. We'll talk about more about that in just a second when we talk about how to downgrade. So let's say you came in here and you really didn't know, and you saw that there was a new version to 30.2, and you're like, fuck yeah, new version update, let's go. Maybe it'll fix some of the problems I've been having, right? And you upgrade to 30.2, and then you realize, fuck, I can't even go live. Right? I had that actually happen with a friend of mine today. Came in and was like, help, I can't go live. So we figured out why, and it was because he was using an older graphics card and didn't have the right encoders, so it had to downgrade. Okay, so I'm going to teach you now how to downgrade if you find yourself in this situation as well. So the first thing you want to do is you want to close OBS, because you can't have it open during an upgrade or a downgrade. Okay. And then we're going to come to the same page, OBS, and I'm going to link the OBS project download page in the links in the description below as well. You're going to click on download. You're going to come to this page, and then we're going to scroll down past all this stuff, and we're going to go to previous releases. So you're going to click on this, and it's going to take you to the GitHub where all of OBS is stored. Now you'll see that the latest version is 30.2, and we're going to have to scroll for a while to find a previous version. So if you haven't done the update yet and you plan to do it, but you might want to go back, take note of your version number. It's up in the very top left. It'll say version 2913, whatever it says, right? Make a note of that. But for most of us, we're going to go back to version 29.1.3. So we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, because these are all of the betas and everything like that. You can see here's 30.1.2. 30.1.1, and if this was the version you were on previous to 30.2, that's fine, but I'm going to go ahead and go all the way back to 29.1.3. so we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Going to have to go to page 2. It looks like there's beta 3 for 30.1. There's beta 2. We're getting closer. Beta 1. Okay, 30.0.02. We're going to scroll down 0.01, version 30. And then version 30 release candidates. We're going to keep scrolling. We're getting there eventually. There's the betas. We're going to scroll a little bit fast. Oh, okay. Page 3 it is now. There's 30 beta 1, 29.1.3. Hey, we found it. So you're just going to scroll and go to the page until you find the big heading with the version that you want. Okay. And then we're going to come down to the bottom of that, and you're going to see assets. So if we scroll down here, there's assets right here. And if we click on this, we're going to open this up, and I will zoom in again for you here. Let's go ahead and follow mouse just in case. Right. So these are all of the versions of 29.1.3 that you can have. So there is, this is for Lunar, the Kinetic, Jammy, the Focal. These are for your AMDs, right? For your Linux versions. So the dev files here, you have the Mac OS, the full installer x64. This is for your Windows, and the zip file is for Windows, and the zip file is the one that we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, and we're going to save it to our desktop. We're going to click on save, and we're going to put it on our desktop. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and stop following and zoom out, and we're going to minimize all of this. And so here it is right here. You can see 29.1.3. Okay. So now we have to open up a couple of folders. So what you're going to do is you have to know where your install is located. Now, for 99% of you, this is going to be in your C drive, program files, OBS Studio. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up a directory. You're going to come down to your C drive, and then you're going to scroll to program files, not the program x86, but program files. You're going to scroll down until you see OBS Studio, OBS-Studio. Okay, this is where your OBS lives. Now, if you don't find it in program files, you're going to come back. Then you can check the x86 folder. Sometimes OBS will install to the x86. but 99% of you will find it in your program files. So we're going to come down here and we're going to just double click to enter the OBS Studio, and we're going to put this off to the side for now. So now we got our zip file that we had before, and we're going to extract it. So we're just going to say yes, open that directory up, and we're going to give that a couple seconds to do just that. Yeah. Okay, once it's done, it'll automatically close. We're going to open that directory here. So now we have the version 29.3 that we extracted. And you'll see inside there is the bin folder, the data folder, and the OBS plugins folder. And then on our install, this is your C drive, program x86 or program files, OBS Studio. You have all of your folders there. All you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to select all of these three folders. You're going to drag them over. It's going to ask you in a minute if you want to replace the files in your directory. So right here, we're going to say replace the files. And you may or may not get a couple that come up asking for permission, administrator rights, privileges, things like that. So you just say yes to those. And when it's all done, you should be left with an empty directory folder, which we can now delete those if you would like to. And now we have our original file open again to the OBS. So now when I click this, before we would open up in 30.02. So when this opens now, it should be 29.1.3. And let me just zoom in here real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. There's my version number, 29.1.3. Okay. And then of course, because we're on an older version, OBS is going to say, hey, there's a new update to 30.2. Do you want to do it? Now, if you say remind me later, every second or third time that you open OBS, it will ask you this pop-up again. If you say skip this version, you won't see the pop-up asking you to update again until there is another update. So 30.2.1, for example. Okay. So you won't see that. Now, again, just so we're all clear, if you do decide later on that, you know what, 30.2 wasn't that bad, it worked for me, I kind of want to be updated a little bit, you come back to help, you check for updates, and then it's going to tell you you'll get the pop-up again, and you can update now if you want to. Okay, so that being said, I think that pretty much covers everything in the emergency tutorial that I needed to get out to let everybody know what's going on with the new version of OBS. I don't recommend that you update to it. They're really, unless you're just tired of the look and you want the new visuals and the new theme layout, or you would like to take advantage of the new MP4 wrappers. There really isn't a need, especially if you're already on version 30. So if you're on version 30.1, stay there. If everything's working, stay there. The next major version of OBS will have more of the encoder stuff. They're planning on having the 4K, the AV1. But what is a major version number? Let me just show you real quick here. So this is your version number. We're on OBS 30.2. Now currently we're on 30.0.2.0, right? So if this number changes, the one on the right, the very last number, if that changes, this is a minor version update. The middle number, the 0.2, is a major version update. So when they change this from 0.0 to 0.1 or to 0.1 to 0.2, they're just making little changes, maybe like a graphics thing, a bug fix, something like that. When they make a major change, they're going to change this number. So it'll be 30.3 will be the next major updated version. And that's the one that is suspected, though not promised, to have the AV1 encoders in it. And then, of course, if this ever changes from 30 to 31, that is a whole version update. And that's where they make a butt ton of changes and they changed everything from the look to the functionality. This is like when they went from 28 to 29 and changed from WebSockets 4 to WebSockets 5 and made a whole new look and layout, all of that kind of stuff. That's the version change, major and then minor. Okay, so we're looking at the next major update before those encoders come out. So if you're happy with what you have now, stay there and then look for 30.3 to come out. Or you might have to stay with where you're at currently until you can upgrade to a newer graphics card that actually has the encoders on it. Again, this website here will tell you if yours works or not. Okay, so I'll have all these links in the description below, but that should be it. That should cover it. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So hopefully we got things covered and you kind of understand what's going on more with the enhanced broadcasting now. Again, if you have a pro to the enhanced broadcasting, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to know one. Otherwise, if you have any other questions, concerns, comments about the new version of OBS, leave those in the comments below as well, and I will help get you sorted. If you run into any issues with the WebSocket changes, let me know that as well, and we'll get you squared away, because you know I want to make sure everybody has everything working and functioning properly. What else? Coming up next on the OBS tutorial side, we're going to cover scene collections and organization. Look for that probably next weekend. So hopefully we can get back on a good schedule for releasing these tutorials. And as always, if you like the content, leave me a thumbs up, click the like button down below. It really makes me feel good. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Good to have you. I hope that you enjoyed and you learned something, and I have plenty of other tutorials for you to go back and check on. And if you want to know when I am posting new content, go ahead and click that subscribe button as well. Not only does it make me feel good to see those little numbers increase, but you'll be notified when I do post a new tutorial. And finally, as always, if you have anything that you want to see me cover, whether it be on OBS, on StreamerBot, SpeakerBot, any bot, Twitch, YouTube, any of the streaming stuff that you have questions with specifically, leave a comment below. I will add your request to my growing tutorial list, and we will get to that as soon as possible. And yes, for those of you that have asked in the past, requested tutorials do take a priority over most of my other tutorial lists, unless it is something major that needs to be put out, such as this one that we just currently did. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask me something specific. And for those of you that do get those, I leave a little shout out to the person and show your little comment saying what you're asking for in the beginning of the video as well. But we're going to go ahead and end that for you now, so we can get on and hopefully you can get OBS back so you can go live right away. And we'll see you in your stream or mine. And until next time, everybody, love, peace, and chicken grease.